Narcissism often creates chaos in relationships, leaving those around the narcissist feeling drained, manipulated, or even broken. People with narcissistic traits tend to have an inflated sense of self-importance, always seeking admiration and recognition while lacking empathy for others. Their behavior can be toxic, and it's easy to wonder when faced with such treatment, is it ever justified to hurt them back? Narcissism is more than just being self-centered. It's a pattern of behavior rooted in a deep need for validation and control, often at the expense of others. Whether it's in romantic relationships, friendships, or even at work, a narcissist's manipulative tactics can take a toll on those around them. But does responding with anger or retaliation ever solve anything? Should we retaliate, or is there another way to handle this? In this video, we'll dive into the emotional, ethical, and practical challenges of dealing with narcissists. Can we justify hurting someone because they've hurt us? Or should we look for healthier, more constructive ways to protect ourselves and move forward? Stick around to the end, because we'll not only explore these tough questions, but also offer practical advice for dealing with narcissists without losing your peace of mind. When we talk about hurting a narcissist, it's essential to define what we mean. In many cases, the term might conjure up ideas of physical harm or some form of revenge. But when dealing with narcissistic individuals, the concept of hurting them often involves more subtle and emotionally charged forms of retaliation. It can mean pushing their buttons, calling them out for their behavior, or even attempting to emotionally manipulate them back. The question becomes, is this justified? Should we ever retaliate against someone who has wronged us in such a profound way, especially if they happen to be narcissistic? Narcissism, as a personality trait or disorder, comes with specific patterns of behavior that are often harmful to those around them. People with narcissistic tendencies tend to lack empathy, constantly seek validation, and feel entitled to special treatment. They may manipulate or control others to fulfill their needs, which can leave the people in their lives feeling emotionally drained, invalidated, or even abused. The natural reaction for someone who has been mistreated by a narcissist is to want to strike back, to hurt them in return. But is that ever the right course of action? The first thing to consider is whether retaliation actually serves any productive purpose. When we are hurt, we instinctively want justice, some form of retribution. But in the case of a narcissist, retaliation often doesn't work in the way we expect. Narcissists are often immune to the emotional consequences of their actions. They are unlikely to feel remorse or guilt, even when their behavior causes harm. When they face any criticism, they may deflect, deny, or even turn the situation around to make themselves appear as a victim. As a result, any attempt to hurt a narcissist emotionally often ends up doing more damage to the person trying to retaliate than to the narcissist themselves. Furthermore, retaliation can escalate the situation. Narcissists thrive on drama and conflict. They are often skilled in manipulation and can twist any situation to their advantage. If you retaliate, they might use it as an opportunity to reinforce their belief that they are superior or that they are justified in their actions. This creates a cycle of negativity that benefits neither party. It's a dangerous game to play, as narcissists can draw others into their world of manipulation, causing further emotional harm. This brings us to the ethical dilemma of whether retaliation is justified in the first place. On one hand, we might feel that hurting the narcissist is a form of self-defense, a way to stand up for ourselves after being wrong. After all, we all have a right to protect ourselves from emotional harm. But on the other hand, engaging in retaliation brings us down to the same level as the person who hurt us. It's important to ask ourselves, what does hurting a narcissist really achieve? Does it help us heal, or does it just perpetuate more pain and conflict? Ethically speaking, retaliation often perpetuates the cycle of harm. The goal in any conflict should be resolution, not escalation. While it's understandable to want to take revenge when someone has treated you badly, responding with hurtful behavior can make the situation worse. It can lead to guilt, regret, and more emotional damage in the long run. Additionally, it may contribute to the narcissist's belief that they are justified in their actions, and that can make things even harder for you in the future. In dealing with a narcissist, it's essential to remember that they are unlikely to change. Narcissism is not something that can be easily fixed through confrontation or emotional retaliation. If a narcissist feels threatened or criticized, they will often double down on their behavior, becoming more defensive or aggressive. In this sense, retaliating against them is a futile effort because it doesn't address the root cause of the problem. It only focuses on a temporary feeling of satisfaction or justice that may soon fade. Rather than retaliating, a more effective approach is to focus on your own well-being and emotional boundaries. It's about taking the higher road and choosing not to engage in harmful behaviors, even when setting boundaries is not about hurting the narcissist, but about protecting yourself from further harm. By refusing to engage in retaliation, you deny the narcissist the emotional satisfaction they seek from controlling or manipulating you. This, in turn, can be a powerful way to take back control of your own life. Moreover, when we choose not to hurt a narcissist, we are also choosing not to perpetuate the cycle of negativity that often surrounds them. Narcissists can only continue their behavior if they are allowed to manipulate, control, and hurt others. When we disengage from their games and refuse to retaliate, we remove their power over us. This doesn't mean that we allow them to walk all over us or that we accept their harmful behavior. Rather, it means we choose not to sink to their level by responding with similar tactics. We take control by deciding not to play the game. It's also important to remember that narcissists can only harm us if we allow them to. While we may not be able to change them, we do have control over how much power we give them in our lives. By removing ourselves from toxic situations, creating strong boundaries, and not engaging in emotional retaliation, we are essentially taking away the narcissist's ability to hurt us. This is a much more effective and long-term solution than engaging in harmful behavior ourselves. But what if a narcissist continues to push boundaries or escalate the situation? In these cases, the best way to protect yourself is to seek external support. This might mean talking to a therapist, reaching out to friends and family, or even seeking legal or professional advice if the situation involves abuse. The goal here is not to retaliate, but to ensure that you are supported and that the narcissist's behavior doesn't continue to harm you. In conclusion, the question of whether it is ever justified to hurt a narcissist is complex. While it's natural to want to retaliate when we've been wronged, doing so often leads to more harm than good. Narcissists are unlikely to feel the emotional impact of our actions, and retaliation can escalate the situation further. Ethically, retaliation tends to perpetuate the cycle of harm, and it's more productive to focus on protecting yourself through boundaries and self-care. Ultimately, the most effective way to deal with a narcissist is not by hurting them, but by choosing not to engage in their harmful behavior and taking steps to protect your own mental and emotional well-being. When dealing with a narcissist, one of the most important things you can do for yourself is to establish and maintain strong boundaries. Narcissists have a way of pushing limits, manipulating situations, and even making others feel responsible for their emotions. Without boundaries, it's easy to get lost in their world and feel emotionally drained or manipulated. But how can you protect yourself without resorting to hurting the narcissist or engaging in harmful behaviors yourself? The answer lies in the power of boundaries. Setting boundaries isn't about being rude or aggressive. It's about making it clear what is acceptable behavior and what isn't. It's about standing firm in your values and protecting your emotional well-being. For example, if a narcissist tries to belittle you or manipulate you into doing something you're uncomfortable with, setting a boundary might look like calmly saying no and not feeling guilty about it. It's about being clear with your needs and sticking to them, even when the narcissist tries to push back or make you feel bad for asserting yourself. One of the challenges of dealing with a narcissist is that they often don't respect others' boundaries. They may try to convince you that your feelings aren't valid or that you should be doing more for them. But when you know your boundaries and hold firm to them, you take back control of the situation. You're telling the narcissist that their behavior won't manipulate or control you anymore. Emotional harm often happens when we allow others, especially narcissists, to dictate our feelings or undermine our self-worth. Setting boundaries helps protect against this by ensuring that you don't take responsibility for the narcissist's emotions. A narcissist may try to guilt trip you or play the victim, but a healthy boundary means recognizing that their feelings are not your responsibility. They are in charge of their own emotions, just as you are in charge of yours. In relationships with narcissists, boundaries are also important because they help preserve your sense of self. Narcissists are skilled at making others feel small or insignificant in order to boost their own ego. Without boundaries, you can easily lose sight of who you are and what you stand for. By establishing limits, you protect your identity and maintain your sense of self-worth. It might be uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been allowing the narcissist to push your limits for a long time, but with practice, it becomes easier to say no and stand up for yourself. It's also crucial to understand that boundaries are not just about saying no, they are also about saying yes to things that are important to you. They allow you to prioritize your own needs and well-being. For example, if a narcissist constantly demands your time or attention, setting a boundary might mean saying yes to spending time with your loved ones or focusing on self-care instead. When you set clear boundaries, you open up space for healthier relationships and more fulfilling experiences. One of the most powerful things you can do when dealing with a narcissist is to stick to your boundaries, even when they challenge you. Narcissists may try to test your limits or even manipulate you into letting them cross those boundaries. This is why consistency is key. When you consistently uphold your boundaries, the narcissist will begin to understand that you will not tolerate certain behaviors. It won't be easy at first, and there may be moments where you feel guilty or question yourself, but staying firm in your boundaries is one of the most effective ways to protect yourself emotionally. Setting boundaries also means knowing when to walk away. Sometimes, the best way to protect yourself from a narcissist is to distance yourself from them completely. This might mean ending a toxic relationship or limiting contact with a family member or coworker who has narcissistic traits. Walking away doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're choosing to protect your emotional health and peace of mind. As we wrap up, it's important to reflect on the key points we've discussed. When it comes to dealing with narcissists, one of the most essential takeaways is that hurting others, no matter how challenging the situation may be, should never be the answer. Retaliation or seeking revenge may feel satisfying in the moment, but it only perpetuates negativity and keeps us stuck in a cycle of harm. Instead, choosing not to hurt others, even when they've hurt us, is a powerful decision that protects our own emotional health and keeps us aligned with our values. In our interactions with narcissists, it's crucial to practice empathy, but not at the expense of our well-being. Narcissists are often driven by deep-seated insecurities and a need for validation. And while we may feel compassion for them, it's essential to understand that their behavior is not our responsibility. Empathy doesn't mean allowing ourselves to be mistreated. It means acknowledging their struggles without enabling toxic behavior. Alongside empathy, self-care is a cornerstone in managing these relationships. Taking time for yourself, engaging in activities that recharge you, and seeking support when needed are all vital in maintaining your emotional balance. Setting healthy boundaries is also key to protecting your peace. By being clear about your limits and sticking to them, you prevent the narcissist from pushing you into situations where you feel manipulated or disrespected. In the end, the reality is that narcissists may never change. Their behavior is deeply ingrained and difficult to alter, often despite their impact on those around them. But while you cannot control a narcissist's actions or their mindset, you can control how you respond to them. You have the power to choose your actions, to set your boundaries, and to protect your peace. It's not easy, and there may be moments when it feels like a constant battle, but the more you focus on your own well-being and emotional health, the easier it becomes to navigate these difficult relationships. As you move forward, remember that you don't have to engage in a narcissist's drama or manipulation. You can choose to disengage, to protect your energy, and to live your life without letting their behavior dictate your happiness. It's about finding a balance between protecting yourself and not allowing their negativity invade your peace of mind. You don't have to change them, but you can change how you interact with them. And that can make all the difference in your own emotional health and personal growth. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Have you ever dealt with a narcissist, and how did you handle it? Share your experiences or any tips you have for navigating these challenging relationships in the comments below. Remember, you're not alone, and your insight could help others who are facing similar struggles. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more content on relationships, self-care, and personal growth. Together, we can create a space where we support each other in setting healthy boundaries and protecting our peace.